Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well today. In this video today I want to speak about deep physical suffering. And that deep physical suffering that I suffer with every day of my life, it will never go away. My legs will burn. My body burns. My neck is messed up. My shoulder is messed up. My abdomen is really messed up. All of them are. And I know there are some people who follow my channel likely because maybe they have trauma or maybe they suffer physically themselves, and they feel that their journey with God may reflect mine. And I haven't decided to make this, except that something happened to me yesterday, and I'd like to explain what that is. When you have a moment with God that feels truly intimate, do you believe in just keeping that between you and God? To a degree I do. There are some things, but I believe for the most part, not announcing it on the rooftops type of stuff for your own gain. But there are times that will help other believers. And if you don't want to hear some descriptive stuff, which I don't intend to get too much into, then turn away. Because with the pains that I got beginning in 2004, I have the pain suicide diseases, and those drove me to commit. Just think about that. Commit. I actually learned that in I forget, was it ethics towards running groups, towards being a counselor and stuff. That they no longer use that. To commit is to do a crime. It's just attempting suicide. In any case, I don't blame people who feel that way and even act upon that when your pain cannot be helped. No one's there to help you. You may not have the proper medications. Man, if you don't, with certain pains, you're in a lot of trouble. You can't walk, you can't move, you're bedbound, you're couchbound, you can't even speak, you're so tired. I am not endorsing suicide in any manner. In fact, just the opposite. But, I'm a lesson for you. And for anyone who doubts the things that I say, I have a video for you to watch. In fact, I'm going to play a part of it, but this is just my Windows, and I can't share anything by screen. I would have to go on to an editing software to do this, and on the screen sharing software I have, if I take this video and put it on there, it will take me like a full day. Just get another thing to do my other videos. Really, I have to sit down, and that's at night. So in any case, I'm going to leave a link. I want you, if you want to know what it is that's causing me to go back and forth with my legs like this, other than my abdomen, it's my legs and my lower back. It's the most painful disease on earth, called adhesive arachnoiditis. It's caused by a variety of different things. Some of the first cases were caused by the person you'll see in this video. If you want to see how rough this is, this was me, and sometimes is me. It's very infrequent that I'll get like this anymore, but it happens. When I'm walking down a street, that's the last time it happened to me. I was looking for my bike. Oh no, that happened after that too. but I was like a mile away from home, and I was walking back, and the pain was so bad that it was coming out, like you're groaning. If anyone looked at you, they would ask you, do you need an ambulance? That bad. With adhesive arachnoiditis, which means arachnoid, like a spider web. I will infuse God in this, don't worry. Like a spider web, it looks on it, that's why it's called arachnoiditis. Ditis is inflammation, itis. Arachnoid, like a spider's web. So when you look on a microscope, it looks like a spider's web. It's adhesions in your spinal canal. And these adhesions can attach to your nerve roots, which they have in my case, and then they clump, and then they attach to the canal wall. Adhesive, adhere, right? To adhere, adhesive. It's the last stage of this disease. It starts off as arachnoiditis and ends off, and some cases are just horrible. And if you saw the way I was trapped in a bed with my father, having to come up for 4 years or longer, giving me a needle like this long. I'm not even kidding you. And having to put it, this is when I was like 95 pounds. I wasn't eating, I wasn't really even drinking. I was eating like a fruit cup a day and about 200 milliliters of water for a few years. And my dad would give it to me in my thighs, and it would hit nerves, and I got over 1,000 shots, easily over 1,000. I think it was more like 1,500. And you're not supposed to give that many. You're not supposed to give it for over like 3 days. But with this disease, so it's a progressive disease of inflammation in your spine. Some people have to, and you risk getting ulcers in your stomach and all those types of things. So please watch the associated video. So first I'm going to tell you this. Yesterday, I want you to know this. With no pain medication, with no opioid, this is the only pain disorder that is primarily treated with opioids. There is no other pain disorder that they say to do that, because the equivalent is to terminal cancer pain. If you don't believe me, watch this video. You'll see it right away. You'll probably want to turn away because you'll see the pain in her face. In her case, they would used to give you dyes and like x-rays and like CT like scans. I forget exactly what it is again, what it is. Not a mammogram, but they would inject into your spine to do an x-ray. And this stuff was taken off the market because it eats your spine. And so doing this caused her adhesive arachnoiditis, inflammation in the spine. In any case, it's called Pantopeg, and they took that off the market, and that's her case. I want to tell a bit more of my story before I flip through Windows, because it's been turning off. If this turns off, please follow me to the next video. So, yesterday, pardon me, I'm going to take a sip of water. Yesterday I broke down crying. For the first time since I've had pain, or since it got, probably, I was listening to a song, and it was Game of Thrones. They have some good stuff, very good music. You know how these shows and movies have soundtracks. And I'd been listening to it when I had a lot of pain years ago. And it brought me back. because I remember the thoughts I was having when I had heard that song. And I heard it yesterday while I was doing my university. And actually, no, I was doing my PSW work. I was studying palliative care, of all things. I was almost there. I was almost put in palliative care. Not so close. And I heard this music, and it was like a Scandinavian language, but it sounded really nice. And it sounds like your best try, your best try, and they say it repeatedly, and that's what it sounds like. And I remember thinking, like, even that at the time when I had that pain, your best try, like thinking, give it your best try. When I heard that yesterday, I broke down very quickly, because it wasn't tears of upset this time, it was tears of joy. And the Lord was right at the forefront, because I know He had taken me here. How is it possible that just one of my pain disorders, by the way, that is equal to terminal cancer pain, at certain times when I'm set off, okay, not here in the picture, this would be, I'm at like an 8.5, okay? I tolerate it. I live my life in flow. I'm always moving because I don't want to stay still. It gets better as I go for walks and build my endorphins, but just this one, without my pain meds, that's what I look like. I'm in a lot better condition in my cardiovascular, my legs and all those things, and I'm eating, and people want, why is he so thin? I'm actually quite built. But I am, because of my abdomen, and probably my overall pain. But without those pain meds, it's horrifying. It's horrifying. And what you see in this video, which I want you to watch, it's just 2 minutes, is the way I looked. So it brought me back to a specific time. I'm just going to tell you the things that I suffer with, okay? Just very quickly. I have adhesive arachnoiditis of my spine. It's just a life-stopping thing. A lot of people do not walk or walk again. It's the most debilitating of them all, I believe. I have trigeminal neuralgia on both sides, which I've been getting quite frequently in the last few days, both sides, because probably for one thing because of damage in my neck. I have a brachial plexus, so you guys know what that is. I tore my nerves partially from my spine from trying to take my life. And because no one could ever help me or tell me what these things were. Am I blaming anyone? Partially, yes, because they weren't helping me. I really was going to all the appointments, doing all the things that they asked me to do. Answers lay in my spine. And in any case, and my abdomen, you're probably quite aware of, I destroyed it. Because when I'd taken this medication when I was 23 years old, ended up with serotonin syndrome, had it for a year. It caused me so many convulsions that I tore my neck. Bam, pain started in my neck, spread into my face. Just like bone-crushing pain in my face. That's how it began, then spread over my whole body. And this type of pain disorder is like CRPS, but full body. And they didn't have a name for this until 2017, called the nociplastic pain syndrome. And So there it is, 4 pain suicide diseases, and the back of my head too. But these things are more triggered. The ones in my jaw and my forehead, the back of my head, they're more triggered. But like typing and who knows, brushing my teeth, walking, air in my face, just strikes of lightning up my jaw where there aren't even teeth anymore. It makes you feel I still have teeth, and if there were teeth, it would be much worse. But so I want to tell you a specific time in my life, and I want you to look at this woman and realize that this was me, and that was only one thing that was going wrong with me. Just that one thing, to show you that God can do anything with a person. Anything. Pardon me, guys, I gotta get out of the picture for a minute. So imagine this. So I get my pain disorder. I'm worn down after 3 years, my first pain disorder. Full body intractable pain, burning, muscle pain. Feels like your bones are being crushed. And it was just constant. All the lights bright, clothes, can't wear the same clothes anymore. Like hoods make me feel comfortable. Like nice, comfortable, either shorts and just let your, I don't want things touching my skin, in certain ways. No one diagnosed what that was. I suffered for that, and then I tried to take my life with a very serious weapon in my abdomen, and man, things went so wrong. Things just kept getting worse and worse and worse, going downhill. And again, I tried to do it again, and I failed 3 times, because I know God intervened in those, if you know my story. And don't think you're any better, because you probably would have done the same thing if you were in my position. No matter where I went and what I did, nobody could give me an answer, and I was very frustrated. I was worn out. I wasn't getting proper treatment. So I ended up in a spot where in 2009 my adhesive arachnoiditis was, it may have not been adhesive at that point, but it was getting worse, progressively disabled in my legs. And then I ended up on a couch, and then, man, I was so irritable because I wasn't getting sleep. Some of these meds were making me very sick. I couldn't eat the same things anymore because of the surgery on my abdomen, lactose intolerance, gluten sensitivity. Man, it was just all the foods you can no longer eat or suffer. Then the splenic flexure syndrome. Man, I even got a kidney stone too, maybe from not drinking water, like a uvite stone. In any case, my life was going downhill quickly, and it got to the point where I could no longer even sit on my couch. I had to get on my back. I was getting extremely weak, and something had happened to me. I didn't understand it. I was a smoker, and suddenly when I would go to smoke, I would get contractions at the front of my neck, back of my neck, my chest, at the back, and it felt like a heart attack. It just came on suddenly. Didn't know what it was until last year, or a little longer than that, where I always thought it was esophageal spasm, and no one could help me there either. And I just found out that although it's not achalasia, it's the same symptoms. So the trouble you see in my throat. I was scared. I was stuck in bed. So imagine this. You're stuck in bed. You've got adhesive arachnoiditis. You've got your first pain disorder. So you got 2 pain suicide diseases. Your legs are then the splenic flexure. 3 things came at me at once while I was in my bed. 3 things. And I was terrified. I couldn't eat. I didn't have the energy. I didn't Imagine lying on your back and you go from, I had a progression while I was in my bed. It came on pretty quickly. I went to stand up from my bed because I could still move from spot to spot, but I couldn't really walk. And if I did, it really hurt. I went to stand up from my bed one day because there was a fox in my parents' backyard. And I stood up, and what you see in this woman in this picture is what happened to me. Wait till she breaks down at the beginning. It gets better after that. So don't think she's like that, crying like all the time, because you can see her after, but you can still see. I stand up out of my bed, and it felt like my legs were just like a board, like I couldn't move them. And the pain was a 10 on 10, flat 10 on 10. I'm like, what the hell, man? What do I do? Like, I'm trying to move forward. It's like, man, it's like worse than Parkinson's disease. Those people can move. This was freaking, it was terrible. And I didn't know how to express it because I was so tired. Because I was already messed up physically. My dad was coming up to my room giving me shots 3 times a day. Imagine being in a bed. This is your bed. You're sitting there and my legs couldn't even go out flat. 24 hours a day I had my legs up like this on my back, because when I put them out, I was like, they were like strung. It was like a tight piano wire. And if you took a knife behind it, it would just split open. I was scared. But there wasn't much I could do. I was going into delirium because I was so tired. I gave up my sleep meds because I would just wake up a couple hours after I took them, and they would still be working for 10 hours or 8 hours. And that made me even worse. I wasn't getting sleep for even, I'd be lucky to have 1 hour at once. No more than 2 hours in a 24-hour period. I couldn't breathe because this thing came upon my, like the esophageal spasm. I couldn't breathe. I'm on my back. I got that. My legs are up. And then my abdomen, an acute abdominal disorder began. 3 things at once. 3 things at once. The splenic flexure syndrome. My colon started to ride up into my rib. And I thought I was cursed. I still don't have that diagnosis because it's that uncommon to have the splenic flexure syndrome in an intractable form. It means it just never goes away. There's no chance of doing anything for it, and it's likely because of the injury to my abdomen, because I was operated on my splenic flexure. They won't give me the diagnosis. They recognize it, but they won't give it because I don't think, I speak to people who have this and they don't have their diagnosis. I know what it is. And these are the things I dealt with. And doctors who thought you were this or that, and it turned out the whole time that you were worse than any of their patients. And there was nothing wrong in your mind at all. Well, you know, obviously I was traumatized, and yes, I had trauma. But every single thing I ever complained about had a organic cause. Never once did I complain about something that was neurotic. Just imagine how I felt. And so I was caught in a cycle of hell. I was caught in a cycle of hell. That went on and went on and went on. And I just remember I went out and then I, for the 3rd time, I tried to take my life, and then that one should have worked, but God intervened. Someone found me. And I had a brachial plexus, a torn, my major neck muscle completely torn, and other stuff. And then my life got even worse. And I had a brachial plexus, the most painful injury known to man. Go look it up. That's what they say, because it's the most nerves in your shoulder, the most nerves in one spot of your body. And I had to move from my bed down to my parents'. Like, my dad was just like, let the guy go to assisted death. He's had enough. My dad was for that, okay? And if you ask me, without having faith in God, I most certainly deserved to be there. I was angry at the system because I had done everything I should have, but I was that case that was let down. Pardon me. You know, and as time went on, of course, what was I going to say? Because of these attempts on my life, it brought a lot of shame. And I do feel that pain physicians were treating me incorrectly sometimes. I had some good ones. There were some good ones, but there was one that said, you have too many symptoms. And she thought it was just some type of somatic illness. But little did she know that in front of her, she had the worst injury that you could have in your brachial plexus. My neck was torn. My abdomen was shot out. And that caused adhesions and splenic flexure syndrome. And I had adhesive arachnoiditis. And then my first pain disorder that I got, pain-suicide disease. And because of the things that were caused up around here, I got trigeminal neuralgia and occipital in the back of my head. My life became a living hell. I destroyed every region of my body, upper, middle, lower, because it was a pain-suicide disease, and that's what people do with it. A lot of them. I'm not saying everyone does, but just go look at the stats. So, how the hell am I even here? How the hell am I even able to do the things I can do and able to teach other people certain things? Well, I was caught in addiction, and I probably would have never gotten out of it. That's what I look at and I say, I think God saved me out of that. The serotonin syndrome that I got, actually I was trying to turn my life around. And it was an old 1950s antidepressant. The reason why I wanted it was because it was a refractory depression medication, meaning everything else, like these fake SSRI, SNRI drugs, were not doing anything. In fact, they were only agitating, irritating my nervous system. So I did my due diligence, I researched it. 1950s, they had an answer, but it had food restrictions. And you could get a hypertensive crisis. You get that, and you could have a heart attack. But the doctor agreed to give it to me if I followed those restrictions, which I did. I followed them as well as I could. I bought a blood pressure monitor, but yet it happened, and I developed also the serotonin syndrome, which they could not differentiate between my other meds because I came off another one to go on that one, right? They couldn't tell, and if I took that one away, who knows what hell would have broken loose. Is this Huntington's disease? And then, go through the whole list, because my body was out of control. Man, I went through a nightmare. I don't even know how to explain it in full. But I think all of that has paid off in certain ways. So yesterday, while I heard that song, Your Best Try, do you understand the things that I've been through? I'm not making myself out to be anything. I have a high pain tolerance. I talk to you these videos, having kidney stones. I had, from the Moderna shot, what I believe to be myocarditis that was just imaged too late, because the inflammation goes down after 3 to 6 months. And I was left with a permanent gallbladder disorder that feels like a gallstone, the same symptoms. How is it I'm making these videos? It's with the help of God. Pardon me. Just want to look at that quickly. I just think it's Amazon coming to my door. You know, so what? I tried to take my life on a few occasions. More than that, actually. I wanted out. My pain was of such a nature. Look at this woman's face and tell me, would you want out? If you had terminal cancer pain, would you want out? And that pain alone was just %20 of my problem. Of that was really affecting me. I just can't believe it. And I'm going to stop on that mark and switch topics. Remember I told you about those numbers? That 233 right now. I'm not a number angel number guy. I'm not that. I know God can work through things. When I cried yesterday and I looked down, boom, 33. Right now, 33. God can do anything he wants. He knows what's right for you. He knows what's wrong for you. He knew from the foundation of the earth that I was going to go through all of those things, but he also knew how I was going to come out on the other side. There is not many things I don't know how to empathize with. I've starved for years, literally starved. Probably worse than an African child who has no food, or any other country. That's just the ubiquitous thing people think of. I've been there, both water and food, for years. The pain. There's no region of the body I can't understand that pain. I'm not making this about me. I'm making this about, I want to make this about God, but I cannot do so without telling you the visceral things that I've been through. So yesterday when I heard that, I recognized that I'm working on like I'm reading up to 60 pages per day. You say, oh wow, man, try it with the stuff I have. I recognize that. And it's not just that, you have to remember the theory of it. It's not just reading, you have to remember it. You know, like I'm running groups, I'm in university, I'm trained to be a personal support worker. I know, I'm a certified recovery coach for addictions and behaviors. There's much more. I got my license. I'm riding a Kawasaki Ninja. These things were lost. These things were gone. It was impossible to ever get back on my back. My dad coming to my door 3 times a day just so he could give me this big injection. It was a long needle. Just so I could get an hour or an hour and a half, because that's all it gave me. Maybe 2 hours. For my legs to let down. It was torture. You may not notice it, and people notice it in you a lot more than you notice it yourself. Take your life seriously, man. Listen to me. Listen! Take your life seriously today. I used to watch the friends that you hang around with. You know how they say birds of a feather flock together? It's true. If you have to be alone, go be alone. Don't be a prick, though. Today is the day to get well. Today is the day to talk about the traumas that you've been through, so you can actually get to a point where you don't have to ruminate about them for the rest of your life, but actually open up about them, talk about them. And I do believe that's what God wants you to do. You may not see the changes in yourself, but once you get to a certain point, you certainly will. Just keep moving forward. I know there's some people that have such horrible pain, and they think they're never going to get out of it. If you have pain, go get it diagnosed. Do it today. Call someone and start the process. Stop ruminating about such things. Get to your problems now. I worried about so much things, and rightfully so. Where I was, I had about 7 or 8 things that were not diagnosed yet. Autism too. Throat dysphonia. My lower esophageal sphincter too. God let me get these diagnoses to put me in a position. Imagine living your life of going to appointments to people who you question if they think you actually suffer with something. That's where I was for 18 years of my life, but I proved them wrong. I'm not saying I went and proved them wrong like I went and said, hey, no, I didn't. But I kind of wish I had that moment, though. So, do me a favor, when done this video, and watch this 2-minute video. There are days when all of a sudden just jolts go up my leg. I'm not talking about sciatic. I'm talking like that times 5. It's kind of like that, but man, it's not the normal. Sciatic hurts, but these are lightning shocks that go up your legs, up to your butt. Man, like a stabbing in my legs. They call them scorpion stings. So just imagine a scorpion standing beside your foot, beside your calf, and then his sting comes and gets you, just like in the book of Revelation. That's what it feels like in my calves. And my legs burn. It feels like there's boiling oil pouring over them. And when I get a pain flare that's uncontrollable, you can hear it. I can't keep it in. And without these meds, it's very hard to walk. So it's about balance, about eating well, sleeping well, reading scripture, always having God on your mind, always praying, staying in prayer. God is good. Don't think that where you are right now you can't get out of. And with adhesive arachnoiditis, you are told, consult your God, but don't expect anything to happen, because it's that bad. But God gave me back a life, and there it is. God bless.